So could you tell us who you are and what you do?
Okay, so my name is Ben Murch. I'm from Rodeo Games, which is an indie studio which we started about 5 years ago. I co-founded it with 3 of my friends. And we're most famous for doing Warhammer Quest and most recently Warhammer 40,000 Deathwatch on iOS and now PC platforms.
So how did you get into indie development?
So I was working at Codemasters and we were making a game called Body Count, which was interesting. And we all had these iPhones because they just sort of come out at the time. And we enjoyed playing turn-based strategy games. So we wanted to play them on the iPhones, but no one had really made them. So a couple of us got together and said, hey, we could probably do this. How hard could it be?
How hard was it?
It was very hard. It was basically, like 8 months of unpaid labour, doing stupid hours, nearly killing ourselves. We took out a small bank loan to fund the actual office just to get things, and yeah, it took us about eight months to get our first game, Hunters, out onto mobile devices.
But it was successful enough for you to carry on going.
It was. So we did Hunters 2. So the first game, do we talk money in this?
You can if you want.
Made some money. Made enough for us to start paying ourselves.
Yeah.
And start surviving again, which was quite nice. And more importantly, it sort of started building up a fan base, which is, as an indie developer, what you want to do. So then, so we took on board all of the community feedback, and we put all of that into Hunters 2, which took us about, I think it was about a year actually, to make. And then we launched Hunters 2 on iOS devices, which was a little bit more successful.
And I think one of the key questions at the moment about indie game development is about whether indies can survive on mobile. Do you think that is an accurate depiction of the situation in the indie game development scene at the moment, or do you think that perhaps it's being a little bit overdramatic?
It's a very interesting question. So you're talking about the indie apocalypse that we hear so much, aren't
Exactly,
we?
yeah.
Okay. I think it depends. So it really depends on what you're trying to do, what your goals are. If you're an indie developer who's happy on £15,000 a year and running a very, very small studio of one, then that's absolutely fine. If you're an indie developer who is looking to be a millionaire and running a studio of 30 or 40 people or whatever, then it's a totally different question. It really, really depends on what you want to get out of it. I think we're going to see a trend over the next couple of years of a lot of indie studios folding, but that's only because it's so very, very easy to make a small studio at the moment. What with PC opening the floodgates and mobile devices. So naturally you see a lot of people trying to do something, only a few of them actually succeeding, and so then a lot of them are going to have to go off and do other things.
And so what's your advice for someone who may be looking to make a mobile game and release it, perhaps as a small studio or as an independent company? What can they do to make sure that they avoid this indie apocalypse, as some people have suggested?
Build a shelter. Don't build a shelter, it's a waste of funds. So I guess first off, the thing we always say is make a game that you want to play yourself. It's no good sort of making something which you think other people are going to want to play, or you think it's going to make a lot of money, because invariably you're not going to be as sold on it as you need to be being an indie developer. So first off, you make something that you really, really want to play, because then you can make that the best possible game it can be. And then you need to do everything you can to get it out there. Even tiny little websites that you think might be insignificant, or blogs, go and talk to those people. Talk to literally everyone, anyone who wants to listen to you. Because then you can start, doing this pyramid of press, where you sort of have all these little kind of foundations, and then eventually the people at the top start to listen to you because there's just so much talk beneath it. So those two things.
Those two things.
Probably.
All right, thank you very much.